Yes, guys, welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. It is Monday and we are previewing our first double game week of the season. It's a very exciting time in the season because we have double game week 24 just around the corner. Hello to everyone in the chat and hello to my co-host, Mr. Bigman Bakar. Bigman, how are you, mate? Nice to see you on a Monday night.
Cheers, Gianni. I hope you're doing well. Hello, welcome to all the Sun viewers. It's a huge week. I feel this week will be huge in the context of the season. A lot of chips are being rolled out. Different strategies are coming into play. Some people are going heavy on double game weekers. Others aren't. This is one week where I think the variance will be big. And I feel as if it's a very, very important week in the context of the season.
So big, man. I did a poll earlier. Around 50% of managers on FPL Twitter, I think maybe, I don't know, just over 1,000 people. I can't think of the term. 1,000 people votes. About 50% of them are on triple captain this week. So absolutely massive. Like a huge amount of FPL managers are on triple captain Mo Salah this week. So if you're captaining Salah, you're going to lose out for every point. His effective ownership is going to be massive. But there was a good percentage that are looking at the assistant manager chip this week as well, which was big. So I'm glad we can discuss both those chips in play this week. So yeah, I did a poll. Are you using a chip in game week 24? 51%, yes, triple captain. 13%, yes, assistant manager. And around 35% were no's. 37% were no, they're not using a chip. So I guess my first question to you, big man, and look, I'm guessing you're not 100% set, but are you looking to use a chip in, let's get straight on with it, in double game week 24?
Gianni, I am actually 100% set because I've already made my couple of transfers. I've made 2 transfers. I am going big on the double game week. I have 6 double game weekers. I will almost certainly be using my triple captaincy chip. Mm-hmm. So for me, the deadline might as well be in 15 minutes because my team is locked and loaded.
I love that. You said last week you were going to go big and you said you were probably going to own 3 Liverpool and 3 Everton. But then Dominic Calvert-Lewin got injured and I thought to myself, big man probably goes down to 5 then. But you've still gone triple Everton.
Yeah, I have. I mean, obviously I would have loved to own the Everton striker. Not exactly Calvert-Lewin. I mean, anyone who would have been on penalties and playing at home to Leicester, I would have punted on him. Turns out there wasn't Calvert-Lewin. It was NDI. I expect him to play both games. He's the most secure Everton starter in the attack at the moment. I was actually watching him the other day and this was in a long time I've seen someone do a step over in an Everton shirt and the fans absolutely love him. I was reading the
Gianni
forums as well.
Was the last one.
Exactly. They love
and Phil Neville before
that. What NDI brings to the team. He's on penalties as well, which is amazing. Obviously, I love penalty takers, and he's the same price as Calvert-Lewin. So my plan didn't exactly change. And I went early.
Didn't he? There was rumours that he could have gone off with a knock.
Yeah, I mean, being the tragic that I am, I actually watched the whole footage he got challenged in I think the 66th or 67th minute. And since then, he started limping a bit. But there were periods where he was, he chased the Lamptey, I assume it was, and he played well. I mean, he then walked off fairly all right. So I don't expect there to be concern. I even watched the Moyes press conference, and he did not mention NDI. Hello, Dean. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
Nice to see you on at this time.
Yeah, sorry, my podcast just overran for a second then, but
no worries.
Yeah, I was listening actually as I was just setting up. I quickly stuck the stream on, so I was listening to what you were talking about.
Did you hear my joke about Phil Neville and Balassi?
I did hear that, mate. That was actually just as I turned it on, so I got you on that one. But yeah, interesting. I've already used my triple captain.
Same.
Gone.
I got 6 points from
game
mine.
Week 9.
I went game week 6.
Oh,
I got 6 points.
Yeah, so I haven't got the luxury of being able to do that with Salah this week.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out at the moment who my third Liverpool asset will be and whether I do get in an Everton. I'm getting at least one Everton. I might get Pickford, to be honest. I don't know.
I think Pickford's the best Everton player to buy,
I hate both my goalkeepers as well, so it kind of makes sense.
I hate my
keeper. Who do you have, Dean?
I've got Henderson and Fabianski.
And Fabianski has dropped as well, which is
that's
really
why I hate
important
because I was relying on Fabianski coming in and playing some games and rotating themselves as Dean was with Henderson, and we just saw Iraola start and play all right. And I wonder if Iraola now keeps that shirt.
Yeah.
What's worrying is that if he's dropped, then he's going to probably miss game week 29. And a lot of people are in this position. For example, a lot of people have Alisson and Fabianski, and they're relying on, they could be relying on Fabianski playing in 29. And if he doesn't feature, they could be without a keeper.
Yeah.
So that's a potential issue right there.
Just give a shout out to Maliki in the chat who sent a super chat. But also Chris, thanks lads. 80-point week. Thanks to Gianni banging on about the triple Liverpool week early. Gakpo and Konate came in for him. That's massive because Konate got the assist. Gakpo got 16. Konate was so unlucky not to get the clean sheet. I mean, most pointless clean sheet wipeout ever. Ipswich didn't have a sniff all game, and then the 91st minute or whatever it was, they scored.
Honestly.
And Dean won into Captain Isak. Well played, Chris. I love that, mate. Thank you for the super chat.
I keep getting Isak calls wrong. I mean, I'm glad I've got him and I've had him for a while. So like he's kind of kept me relevant for some time. And actually, I still ended up with a green arrow this week. I went up literally by about 8,000 places though. It was nothing to write home about. But again, like contemplating Isak and then still going for Salah instead of Isak was annoying. But yeah, big call this week because like I heard you talking about like whether you captain Salah and if everybody's going triple captain already on him. I don't know where else I would turn if it wasn't Salah. I mean, potentially one thing I have thought of doing is bringing in Gakpo and captaining Gakpo, just in case it's not Salah that delivers over these two games, which honestly, it's not unreasonable that happens. Like Salah's not on fire right now. So yeah, there's a possibility that I go down that path.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, so let's talk. Let's continue on triple captain, and then let's talk assistant manager, and then we'll do our teams, and then we'll do other players we like to buy. Because we've got to remember, we've also got normal transfers to make this game week, and who are we buying? So triple captain, if you've still got it, I think we all agree we like the idea of playing it. Bigman has it. He's very, very likely to play it. And we'll do a poll. Are you triple captaining Mo Salah this game week? Yes or no? And I reckon about 50% of you watching are. Are there any pros or cons or pros to waiting? Maybe. Liverpool do have a double game week in 33. Could have a double game week in 33 if they blank in 29. If Liverpool reach the EFL Cup final, their double in 33 would be Aston Villa away and Leicester away. It's a little bit better than now, but in 33, there might be Champions League. There might be other complicated things. Salah could be injured. Oh, and by the way, you'll want to use your other chips in game week 33. Big man, are you pretty set you have to use it this week if you've got the chip?
I think so. It's probably because I don't rate the triple captainship chip to be as powerful as some of the other chips. And I think if I'm getting the opportunity to play it on a fit Salah for a Liverpool side going for the title, Salah is in the form of his life. I see very little reason not to play it, especially when there are so many chips which will be played later on in the season, especially considering that the assistant managership will be in play for 3 weeks, still have the free hit, still have the bench boost, still have the wild card. So it seems as if we'll be spoiled for choice later on in the season. It's not as if this will be a make or break decision. I mean, essentially, I assume everyone will be captaining Salah anyway. So what you're gaining is a couple of fixtures over people who are not triple captaining. So it really isn't a big deal, I don't think. I mean, it's likely to be between a 10 to 15 point swing. And I think I might as well chance it given what is on offer.
Dean, when you take Mo Salah this season and you take any 2-week period, I think there's only been 3 or 4 occasions when you'd get back-to-back blanks. Like, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. Maybe, I think, even 2 or 3 occasions. But the ceiling may be against teams like Bournemouth at the Vitality and Everton at Goodison at the minute. The ceiling perhaps is lower than it has been earlier in the season when Liverpool were flying and Bournemouth and Everton weren't as good. How do you feel about those two matchups? Because I think Bournemouth go into that game thinking they can get something from it and it could be quite a tight one. And likewise, Goodison Park, the way Moyes is setting up so far, keeping it tight at the back, with a bit of threat, you could see Mo Salah. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to lose these games, but they're definitely more difficult games than they were a couple of months ago.
Yeah, that's for sure. And obviously Bournemouth kind of flying high at the moment. And when you look at the goals that they're conceding, obviously kept a clean sheet against Nottingham Forest, who score against most people. Only conceded 1 against Newcastle, who usually score 2, 3 against most people. Did concede 2 against Chelsea. But then you go back and even like Everton at home, they won 1-0. They had the home game against Crystal Palace, drew 0-0. West Ham went to Vitality, drew 1-1. Tottenham went to there, didn't score, lost 1-0. So they do have a decent record of like keeping people out. So it is a tough game for Liverpool, and it's not going to be one of those. I don't think even Salah owners are expecting Liverpool to go there and win 3-0. Like, I think that's going to be really tricky. I'm not saying that can't happen, though. That's the problem. Like, this season throws up so many weird results. I mean, who thought Bournemouth were going to go to Newcastle and win 4-1? Not many people. Newcastle were in great form at that point. So it's really, really difficult to predict where to go with it. But I don't think that Salah is... I mean, Bigman, you said he's in the form of his life. I don't know if I agree he's in the form of his life necessarily. But I do agree that he's in form that is very difficult to ignore or suggest isn't worth triple captaining. So if I had the potential, I would definitely be using the chip for this game week. But there is definitely... I was just playing around with my team actually a second ago just to see what I could do if I was to get in Gakpo. And I have got 3 free transfers to use. So I could get Gakpo in reasonably easily, actually, for Xiao Pedro and captain Gakpo. Massive risk in completely going against Salah. But this is a game, right? Like, I'll be kicking myself, yeah, but I haven't taken enough risks this season. And I keep choosing the safe option, like with Isak, like when to go with him, when not. So I always take the safe option on captaincy, things like that. And if I was to go Gakpo and if it paid off, it would be a massive jump for me. Finn's asking what my rank is. 540k, I think. Yeah, 540,000. So if it didn't go right for Salah and I wasn't on him, who knows? So obviously it could backfire massively and I'll be out of the top million. But I might.
I don't mind it. Like, I do think Salah's the best captaincy option. Of course I do. But Gakpo's also playing with real swagger. And if you've done it this week, Gakpo gets more points. Of course, Salah's the favourite to get more points. But Gakpo's not a bad shout if you want to bet against the obvious. I think if you're going to bet against
trying
the
to put
obvious,
me off with Gakpo's away form there. And that, I am aware of that. Like, that is...
Yeah, but
is it real? Like, is he scared of like playing away from home? Like,
no, Liverpool aren't as good either away from home, and
yeah,
so most will have a slightly worse away record. I don't mind it. Like, why not? I mean, let's talk about Gakpo. Do we want to bring him in? Big man, you don't own him. Dean, at the moment, you don't. Like, Big man, are you looking at? You've already got double Liverpool defence. You've made your bed there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good option to bring in, and I did mention it last week that I expect both double Liverpool defense and double Liverpool attack to yield dividends. I don't think there's a clear-cut winner. As it stands, I mean, yes, it was one of those weeks where Liverpool won 4-1. Van Dijk blanked, Alisson blanked, Gakpo got 16 pointers. So the swing was brutal for those who went double Liverpool defense. But as you mentioned earlier, it was a very lucky goal that they conceded. It was very unlucky for them to concede right at the end. But over the period of time, I do expect this to even out, let's say, over the next 3 to 4 games. As a double Liverpool defense owner, I'm still very confident because the underlying data is still very strong. Let's say if someone still has Solanke on the bench, or let's say has Calvert-Lewin and does not want to go NDI, then I think Gakpo is a very able replacement.
Yeah, okay, nice. All right, that's triple captaincy kind of discussed. We're going to come back to blanks and doubles in a minute, guys, but let's just move our attention to the assistant manager. Actually, I'm not sure if our assistant manager chip slide's ready, so maybe we should go to the blanks and doubles first. I'll let the producer decide what we're going to show, but we'll show one of our 2 slides because they're both really important to visualize, guys, when we're talking about blanks, doubles, and chips in play. So we'll pop one of them up on screen now. maybe.
It's like your days on the shopping channel, mate. You never know what's going to come up.
You get told off for producing from the floor as well. Right, assistant manager points recap. Yeah, perfect. Here we go. So assistant manager, just to give you the top line, you probably know it by now. You win, you get 6. You draw, you get 3. And if you beat a team 5 places or more above you, you activate the bonus of 10. If you draw with a team 5 places above you, it's 5. Every goal you get a point, and clean sheet you get +2. Now, if you want to go David Moyes, I don't hate it. Leicester should come with a home bank, although I don't know if it does, seeing Leicester beat Spurs. And then the Liverpool game, if Moyes nicks a draw, that's 8 points plus any goal scored, right? That's more than an Arne Slot win. You could then move to Nottingham Forest. You could then move to Fulham, who play Nottingham Forest at home. Now, I fancy Forest to lose that game. Off the back of seeing them against Bournemouth on the road and seeing Fulham against United, I think Fulham can beat Forest at home, and that will come with a bonus. Yeah, but let's talk about that fixture in a bit more detail in a sec then, because there is a slim chance that Fulham Spurs moves to game week 26 if Spurs reach the EFL Cup final. We won't know the outcome of that game until game week 24 has already started.
Okay.
Yeah. But if they do, and they finish top 8 of the Europa, which now looks likely because they beat Hoffenheim last week, then that game week 29 fixture that Spurs would have with Fulham would move to potentially game week 25.
Wow.
If it does, you get a double and then another double. So great time to use assistant manager chip. It's a big risk though, because you won't know when you activate it in 24 if there is a double in 25. And then game week 26, it's tough. I don't think you want to stick on Fulham to beat Crystal Palace because that could go either way and there's no mid-table bonus. You might have to use another transfer. You could back, I don't know, Leicester to beat Brentford, or you go a home banker like an Arsenal win, whatever. But I don't mind using assistant manager in 24, 5 and 6. So let's talk big man Moyes in 24, and then Dean, let's talk Fulham in 25. So big man, what's your take here with this sort of plan?
I think it's a fair plan. I think it could be one which could work out well if you're lucky. I mean, I won't be completely shocked if Everton, let's say, head Liverpool to a 0-0 at home. And then I completely agree when you say that Fulham should beat Forest at home. The issue for me in this strategy is game week 26 because there are no obvious fixtures where you can target the table bonus. And that could probably be a suboptimal week. But apart from that, I mean, if you're lucky, the strategy could work well.
Yeah.
The only question is, while the strategy looks good on paper, will this be better than hypothetically using it later on in the season?
$1 million question, because we don't know what the doubles are going to look like in game week 36. And that's a problem. Guys, both look at the fixture ticker right now. We don't have it to show, but when you look at game week 26 fixtures, who would you move to 25 in a sec? But first, let's do 26 and work backwards. Who could you back in 26? Let me know in the chat, guys. Like there's Arsenal versus West Ham, sure. But if you're looking for the bonus, where do you get it in 26? What fixture do you like?
Man United.
Because they won't be 5 places above them, will they?
I don't think table bonus will.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I guess they would still be too close. I keep forgetting how bad United are.
Yeah. Ipswich Spurs, even that'll be too close. There won't be a bonus in that. There won't be a bonus in a lot of these fixtures. Newcastle Forest, Man City Liverpool, there's no bonus. So Leicester Brentford comes with bonus, but do we really want to back Leicester at home to beat Brentford? I don't know.
City Liverpool could be though by then.
Yeah, but City are now winning games.
Wow. We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
They are winning games, but we don't know when they're going to turn up.
I know.
I mean, they're right. They're only 1 point ahead of. You got Bournemouth in 7th on 40 points, and Man City are obviously 4th on 41 points. So it's not. It's not the.
If they lose to Arsenal next week as well.
Yeah, like it's not inconceivable that they could be that many places back by the time they take on that game. So it could be worth a risk. 25 is tough for them. Yeah, it could be worth the risk. And who knows? I mean, they might not beat Liverpool, obviously, but like it's not not a bad shout, just because there's not. You're right. There's not much there to get at.
Imagine getting a table bonus for Pep. You would never think you get it on Pep.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're right. If they struggle in 24 and 5, 26 is an option for them. But how do you feel then about, let's go game week 25? Because Fulham, Forest, mate, sell it to me.
I can't really. I mean, you were saying that we're a good pick, and I don't think they really are a good pick. Because our home form has just kind of gone.
You were unlucky yesterday. You were the better team.
Well, we were a better team for a while, and then we kind of were dragged down to Man United's level and went with it. And we've done that a few times. Did it the same thing to Wolves, like Fulham against Wolves.
Battered
them for 25 minutes, and we lost 4-1. Like, Fulham keep doing this. We really, really struggle against teams that don't just come out and play. And less frequently, teams are willing to do that at Craven Cottage. And I don't know what Nottingham Forest approach will be, but if they decide, right, we'll sit in, we'll let them try and break us down, and then we'll just take our chance when it comes, and Chris Wood gets one opportunity. It surprised me if Fulham lost again, but we are not in good shape at home. I mean, I'm just going through it now. We drew 2-2 with Ipswich at home. We drew 2-2 with Bournemouth at home, 0-0 with Southampton at home, 1-1 with Arsenal at home. We beat Brighton, but then even before that, as I say, we lost 4-1 to Wolves at home. And I just wouldn't really fancy us that strongly. We have already beaten Nottingham Forest once this season. Raul Jimenez penalty was the decisive factor. So I think it'll be a tight game. But I couldn't say beyond doubt that we'll win it. Fulham usually play really fast football, right? We really do move the ball quickly, and it's one of our biggest assets. And we did that for like 15, 20 minutes against Man United, and it was looking good. And then because United was so lethargic and it kind of just worked its way into what we were doing. Fulham do that all the time. So, yeah, I mean, it's really toss a coin territory for me, mate, for Fulham to beat Nottingham Forest. I'd say they're due a home win, yeah, but I can't completely back it right now.
Interesting. I mean, that was the lowest XG game we've seen in the Premier League for 2 years, Fulham versus Man United. It felt like a bore draw. We'll go to the next slide to see the state of play in terms of blanks and doubles. Big man, want to show you to sort of give your nod to this. Like, we know double 24, 25 could be a double, unlikely. 29 we know is a blank. The teams that blank in 29 will double in 33. 34 will be a blank, and the teams that blank in 34 will double in 35, as well as any extras to pop in. These graphics, by the way, are from a really cool up-and-coming YouTube channel. Go check them out. I think the handle is at Gianni Batici, if you want to go give him some love and a subscribe. What do you reckon to this, big man? Like, what does this show us? Like, there's fewer doubles and blanks this season, isn't there?
Yeah, what this tells me is that, I mean, when you're looking at your team and planning for the short run, I think what you really need to consider is using a chip this week for those who still have the triple captaincy left personally. And for those who have already used the triple captain, I think they can afford to take their time and use this assistant manager chip later on in the season, because the reason that you mentioned that there won't be as many blanks and doubles as usual. And after game week 29, we will have full clarity on the double game weeks and the blank game weeks, which will be held in the respective game weeks which have been shown on the image. So I think what you do right now is perhaps play the triple captain if you have it. If not, plan for game week 29, potentially wildcard in game week 30, and then plan for the weeks ahead with a full clarity of the fixtures to come.
How do you feel about assistant manager later then? Around, say, 36, the teams that play double in 36 will be the teams that blank in 34. The teams that blank in 34 are those that reach the FA Cup semi-final. So you expect them to be good top of the table teams, which would double in 36 to end the season. Do you like the idea of using assistant manager then when the big teams are doubling, or would you prefer to have a bench boost or a free hit in that week?
Gianni, I think there are two approaches that you can take to this. The first is that you can use the assistant manager, let's say in game week 31, where you use it from 31 to 33. And the other is where you can use it in 36 to 38. And I think both could work well. And obviously you have to use this along with the bench boost chip. So, for example, if someone is on the 31 to 33 assistant manager strategy, then he can then he can use the bench boost in 36. While alternatively, those who are using the assistant manager later in the season, 36 to 38, they can bench boost in 33. So you have to actually work the strategy together with the bench boost as well.
It's a really good point. And remember, if you do go assistant manager 31, 32, 33, you also can't use your wild card then. And there's a lot of managers that might want to dead end in 29 for that blank game week and maybe not wildcard in 30, but wildcard in 31 or 32. You can't if your assistant manager is active. That blank in 29 is really interesting. Dean, you'll see I've put the bookies odds here. And there's the flip side to every fixture. So Arsenal-Chelsea is 15% likely to blank because Newcastle-Palace is 85% likely. So it's the flip side. Newcastle play Arsenal. One of those fixtures goes ahead. The other one doesn't.
Okay.
And it's the same with Fulham and Spurs, right? So Spurs play Liverpool in the EFL Cup. Therefore, one of those fixtures is at 42% likely and the other at 58%. This is based on bookies' odds.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair? Liverpool are 58% likely to blank. So the bookies are saying
Gianni, I'd like to
chance Liverpool win.
Yeah. I'd like to add here
Go on.
that when you actually look at the percentage of chances of, let's say, Liverpool to progress to the next round of the Cup, the bookies have Liverpool to progress in the Cup at 1.33, which roughly translates to 75%. So this has been updated. And so basically Aston Villa Liverpool right now in Game Week 29 has close to 75% chance of blanking.
That is huge. So these odds that I took were from probably 2 weeks ago when those first legs took place. But since then, we've seen Spurs be absolutely terrible, haven't we?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that 58% has jumped to 75%. And currently, I am planning with the assumption that Liverpool will blank in 29.
Yeah. I mean, it's 1-0 to Spurs at the moment. They do go take a lead into that. But yeah, the way Liverpool are playing.
Mate, they struggled to hold on to a lead for like 20 minutes, let alone 90 minutes.
Here I am trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to.
I just can't put up a case for Spurs at the minute.
It's hard. It's extremely hard because, you know, there's no element of trust that you can really pin on them. Look, for Postecoglou, probably like saves his job if he gets to the final. So there's that, but do we trust him to hold out? Not really. He looks totally out of his depth. I think one thing about the Premier League is it's so ruthless and it exposes your flaws, right? And if you've got any weakness, either as an individual or in your team, or in Tottenham's case, both, then other teams will just absolutely pull them apart. And that's exactly what's happening to Tottenham week on week. So Andrew's obviously got a tough spell here. Brentford, Liverpool, Villa, then Man United. It's the 4 games that will define really whether he continues as the Tottenham manager. Will he see out the season? Probably not. But on the flip side of that, there's not a go-to manager for them right now that can come in. So I don't know that they'll even really bother unless things get really, really bad, because he's going to end up being Ryan Mason or something in charge for the rest of the season. But you have to assume that Liverpool go on and win the semi-final. I find it hard to believe that they won't.
Yeah, they need to win by more than a goal, which is seems very, very possible. They do after that. Liverpool, by the way, they play Plymouth in the FA Cup before the second part of the double game week. There are 2 fixtures between both parts of the double game week. So they play game week 1. They play against Bournemouth. Then they go EFL Cup versus Spurs. After that, they go to Plymouth, and that's again huge rotation. And then it's Everton game 4 of that week. Cool. We'll move away from state of play then. So yeah, that just gives us an indicator of where we might want to use our chips. I think the many will be dead ending their team in game week 29 and will not want to be using free hit in 29, which is again not a great week for free hit. Have you looked at that, big man, what you might do in 29? Are you going to try and navigate that with free transfers? Because for those navigating that with free transfers, they might want to start accumulating them now because they might have 6-7 players across those 4 fixtures.
Exactly. And I think if the favorites progress like we expect them to, then I think Newcastle Palace will be the fixtures. Newcastle Palace will be two teams that blank. Liverpool and Aston Villa would be the other two teams that blank.
I've got 7 players in those two fixtures.
Yes, a lot of people will have triple Liverpool because of the double game week anyway. And a lot of people have Hall, Gordon, Isak, Munoz, Eze, Sarr, all these players as well. But I think there's a considerable gap between, let's say, game week 24 and game week 29 for people to start actively planning around removing some of these players. Remember, you don't actually have to remove all of them. Even if you could remove, let's say, 5 or 6 of them, and you can just keep 1 or 2 of them on your bench, that's fine. That will be enough. But this is one of the main reasons why I've been advocating saving transfers over the past 3 to 4 weeks, because there will be plenty of transfers required. As you just said, a lot of people have a lot of assets from these teams. I have suffered in rank over the past 2-3 weeks. I've had subpar game weeks, but I'm hoping I can make up for some of those lost points with the free transfers I have in hand at the moment.
Yeah, like offloading Liverpool players is tricky in 29. Let's say they blank, because in 28 they've got Southampton at home, and in 30 they've got Everton at home. Again, you look at Newcastle, offloading them. Well, before 29 they play West Ham, after Brentford, and then after that Leicester. So there's good fixtures around. Aston Villa, perhaps not so much. Like in 29, it would be a blank, the Liverpool fixture, but then they go to Brentford and they go to Brighton either side of that. So players like Morgan Rogers become probably a player you're happy selling. Yeah, worth looking at. Who was the other team? Aston Villa, Spurs, Liverpool. There was one more. Fulham. So again, I don't have Fulham, but again, a lot might have a Robinson or a Jimenez. I'm just going to give you their fixtures either side of the blank. We're going into proper granular detail today, guys.
It's Liverpool. I'm wrong. Liverpool, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and Palace. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, Palace. Of course it is. Yeah, because I've got Munoz. So again, who do Palace have either side of 29? Ipswich at home in 28, and then Southampton away. So again, you don't really want to sell your Palace players. It is going to be tricky.
Gianni, are you considering fixtures in 30? Because that's going to be a week where a lot of us are going to wildcard anyway. So personally, I'm not taking 30 into account as such.
I don't know if I want to. I know a lot will dead end and wildcard in 30. I think if you can wildcard in 31, 32 and get a little bit more info on that wildcard, it might be precious. So I'm not opposed to wildcarding in 31 or 32. But yeah, anywhere between 30 and 32 is the plan, to be fair. Yeah. Good point, though. Good point. Because if you can get rid of them, if you buy them back, then you lose team value. But yeah, so
the main issue is that I think, and I sort of mentioned this in the previous show as well, I do think that a lot of us might be forced into selling Salah to bring in Haaland in game week 29, where Haaland is playing Brighton at home and City have the standout fixture in terms of captaincy. And if we are to go ahead with that, then I assume a lot of people will not have the transfers immediately in game week 30 to bring Salah back for the restructuring. And Liverpool are playing Everton at home in game week 30. Right? Now that's a week where you would want to have Salah back in your team.
But Haaland plays Leicester at home in 30, so you also need him, hence a wild card to get both of them
Maybe
in.
both?
Yeah.
Maybe both? Yeah, exactly.
We might be going back to having 2 premiums.
I don't want to go back to those days.
In 30, Cole Palmer has Spurs at home.
He's done, mate. He's finished.
Go on, talk to me about Cole Palmer. Dude.
Honestly, I
2 2-pointers in a row, but 2 10-pointers before that.
Yeah, and you've got to accept, like, if you do this, then you're going to miss out on points time to time. But I don't think it's that big a deal to get rid of Cole Palmer. I think you can make up for his points. You just got to accept that, like, there will be the odd haul along the way, but it's just not. I just don't think he's like a must-have anymore. And I've had a few people, well, in the WhatsApp group actually, they've been like, "Do we definitely need Palmer?" And I'm like, I don't think you do. I don't think there are many must-haves. Obviously, like the Salah has been a must-have. I'd genuinely look at Mbermo as somebody that I would be less willing to lose than Cole Palmer. I think that you can get around it. I'm not saying I would do that like this week. Like Cole Palmer's got West Ham at home next. I don't think I'd really want to lose him for a game like that. But I don't feel like that attached to him. Maybe it's because I don't like Chelsea. But I don't feel that attached to him, even though his fixtures for the next 5 are pretty sweet, aren't they? I mean, that's
Leicester and Southampton coming up.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of against it. If I'm going to do so as I said, I've got 3 free transfers at the moment. If it's to open up, I really do have to get rid of one of Bruno or Palmer. And
Bruno.
It's going to be Bruno. But even then, I'm like, well, I got Crystal Palace at home next. I'm going to clearly miss out on some points there because he's going to get a pen or something. But so even though I've got my doubts about Palmer, I've still got way more doubts about Man United and Bruno Fernandes. And that's where I'd probably look to cash in. I am kicking myself a little bit over Kluivert because I literally did a video on Chasing Green Arrows last week, which was basically 4 minutes of me saying why you need Kluivert in your team.
Oh.
And then I accepted that I couldn't really do that last week. And so I thought, it'll be fine. I'll just leave it. Maybe I'll get him in this week to open up some doors. Because Bournemouth, I know it doesn't look a good fixture this week against Liverpool, and it's not really. But beyond this week, Bournemouth have got an unbelievable run of games. Like Southampton, Wolves, Bournemouth, Tottenham, Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Man United. Like, what's not to love about that? Like, Kluivert is got so much space, so much confidence, penalty factor. So I think as I look to open this up, I'll probably go for him. But yeah, Cole Palmer probably stays for now. I'll be very, very surprised if Palmer is with me in a few weeks' time though.
Dean, you mentioned Bournemouth players. I mean, not just Kluivert, Dango at his price, Ouattara and Semenyo. They're just ridiculous value for money.
Them.
Yeah.
How do you feel about him, big man? Where do you rank him?
If Dango keeps playing the number 9 role, I think I want Ouattara. I want him in my team. And I'm currently sort of planning to bring him in my team soon because he's the one who's cheapest of them all and he's fairly affordable.
Yeah.
So someone like, a Rodgers can easily be sold for him. But
he's not on pens. I thought you'd go Kluivert because there's not much between them and Kluivert is on pens.
I mean, there's a 0.5, 0.6 million difference.
Yeah.
And he is playing as a striker. I don't know. I mean, it's a very tricky call. If I can, I'll see where we're at in 2 weeks' time because a lot of things can change. 2 weeks is a considerable length of time. Dean, what I'd like to add here on the Palmer discussion that you were referring to earlier, I have actually looked at similar, and I did actually sort of consider the role of Palmer in my team in the weeks to come. And yes, the fixtures are good. I looked at the next 6 game weeks in particular, which is before game week 30, which might be the time where I wildcard. And there was 1 week where I would captain him. And in all the others, I thought that there were alternatives, whether it was Salah, whether it was Haaland. But that 1 week in game week 27 is one which I think could be just insane for Palmer because Chelsea are playing at home to Southampton. He's clearly the best captaincy choice. Liverpool are playing at home to Newcastle, which isn't ideal. Arsenal playing away to Nottingham Forest. Spurs are playing City. I think Chelsea at home to Southampton is clearly the fixture to target over there. And I just think the fear of missing out on a Palmer haul at home to Southampton in 27, where a lot of people will have him captain, considering his ownership, will be one which will make me keep him, and I think I will keep him for the next 6 weeks.
Interesting. Yeah, you've done a deeper dive than me on that. So, I appreciate that's a great point. And Southampton are the team that you can just bully in this league, aren't they? They will just roll over and die if you can if you can inflict enough early pain, even late pain, to be honest. Because even look at the Man United game, and they managed to hang out for so long, and then they still crumble in the end. So. Worse teams than Chelsea have exploited this Southampton team. Sorry if there's any Southampton fans watching. I know that that's not nice to hear, but pretty.
Shout out Freddie in the chat.
Yeah, he's sorry, mate. But I think the only team that really comes close to being as bad as Southampton at the moment is Wolves. Wolves are just underperforming so terribly. And one of the things that I've really been interested in is Bournemouth, the team spirit that Iraola has built and the confidence that he's got in every single one of those players and the belief they've all got. They came off the pitch against Nottingham Forest. There was a camera in the tunnel, and it was like one of the players was walking through and he's going, unbelievable. Like, he can't even believe what they're doing to teams. And they're all just like hugging each other and they're like loving every single second of it. And then you look at Wolves and like they've just got the second half performance, I thought, against Arsenal was just so poor when they had a chance to build on something from the first half. They've got a real lack of fight about them. They've lost 15 games. They've conceded 52 goals. The only team in the league that has got worse records in either of those areas is Southampton. And while they're not second to bottom in the table yet, Wolves, I mean, I've got less faith in them than even I have in Ipswich, to be honest, because at least Ipswich have got some fight about them. So that's another team that I think you potentially look to target. And obviously you look ahead and Liverpool have got Wolves very soon. And I'm like, this team looks so frail right now. Like the belief, their style of play, like the friction between, I don't know, even Cunha and the manager at the moment. Who knows if Cunha will even be there by then? You never know. The only thing I think Wolves have really got going for the moment, if you've seen this new player they signed, Agbadou, the defender.
He looks amazing.
Mate, he is unbelievable. Like, this guy is looking like a fantastic signing.
Where's he from? Where? I've never heard of him.
I didn't know much about him, mate. I really don't. I don't know how they've unearthed this one, but they've done a really good job to find a top defender. It looks like. Unfortunately, nobody else is performing, and you know the fact that this Cunha narrative is ongoing and stuff makes me fear for Wolves a little bit. So yeah, I think at a time when we're trying to like figure out where points are coming from, who we can trust, and you're basically looking for teams that you can be trusted to crumble. And we always will look for Southampton. I think typically you'll look to Ipswich just because they should crumble and that they are going to have to punch well above their weight to survive in this league. But actually, at the moment, I think Wolves are worse.
Yeah, fair play. Really interesting take there on Wolves. And yeah, they perhaps... We think they're better than perhaps they are. They've got some good fixtures coming up in the not too distant way. Cunha might come to our radar again. So let's watch this space there. I guess we should take this opportunity to see our points so far this game week. So let's see our team, shall we? And we can give our little nod to where we might go in terms of transfers this week. And then we'll recap just with the assistant manager versus triple captaincy this week. 64 points for me, fine. It was like a 1 point green arrow. Gakpo, to be fair, saved my game week. The Arsenal clean sheet. The Arsenal clean sheet was huge against me. I don't own an Arsenal defender. It's been fine until now. And then you go and see the likes of Saliba, Riya and Gabriel not only keep cleans, but they all got bonus points as well. So fair play to all those on double Arsenal defence. Sells is becoming a bit of a problem because I was planning on playing Sells this week, but then a few weeks where he's got tricky fixtures playing Fabianski. I can't do that now because Fabianski looks like he's lost his spot. I am willing to sell Sells. I don't think I'll go Pickford. I think I prefer just to go to Riya and be happy on Riya. I'll probably make that call after 24 though, because I would need to know if Arsenal are playing in that game week 29. And I think it should go ahead. 15% chance of a blank for Arsenal versus Chelsea. We just need Arsenal to lose their EFL Cup second leg against Newcastle on aggregate. So I'll make a goalkeeper transfer, but the rest of the team seems fine. The benefit of not using assistant managership in 24, which I am considering doing. I'm genuinely like 50-50 on it. If I use it in 36, by 36, I can just then focus 3 transfers on 3 managers at the end of the season. I don't need to think about forward planning and accumulating transfers. At the moment I do, and I feel like every transfer is so important. I've got 1.8 in the bank, 2 free transfers. So I can go down the assistant manager route this week, but I think I'm unlikely to. And I'll buy a Bournemouth player next week and Burmo very soon as well. I'm obviously up for selling Rodgers and Enzo and even Bruno if I need to. Big man, what's your take there with my team and those plans you've just heard?
I think I'd I think your three Liverpool are set in stone. I think I'd probably look at bringing Pickford in, to be very honest, over Sells. I think this is a good week to buy an Everton keeper.
Yeah, I'm open to that.
Apart from that, I mean, I won't change anything in attack. I think the midfield is fine as well. I might consider moving one of your defenders on, potentially Lewis for, let's say, Tarkowski. That would tempt me. That generally would.
It's just
But
then
that would give you triple Everton defense. Yeah, that's the issue, right?
Yeah, but also it would leave me with a real benching dilemma this week. Like obviously I'm starting Trent. I want to start Lewis Hall and I want to start Mikalenko. So if I brought in a second Everton defender, I'd have to bench Lewis Hall. Don't really want to bench Lewis Hall. Like I always fancy him for an attacking return. Likewise, Sells this week has as Brighton at home. I could see a clean sheet. I don't know how much I want Pickford, although save points versus Liverpool for Pickford are big. So I am considering Pickford. So yeah, one to consider. I also think if I don't go Pickford, I can then go Riya the week after. And I do like Riya, seeing as I don't have an Arsenal defender. So yeah, let's watch this space.
I'd expect Brighton to score though this week, and
you
if you're getting save points with, I mean, I would say I'm quietly confident, and with Pickford, you're probably going to get some saves.
Yeah, guys. By the way,
another good thing with Pickford is he's playing West Ham at home in 29, so he covers you very well in 29. So if Fabianski doesn't play, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, true. Guys, do hit that like button, by the way. We're 51 minutes in, and I've not asked you to subscribe either. So if you are wondering why you can't...
Offcore's been doing it, I think, in the chat.
Oh, good man, Jay. Yeah. Good man. Offcore, when you do that, we'll try and flash up your comments to encourage others to do it. I really appreciate that. But yeah, do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. If you're wondering why you can't type in the chat, it's because you're not subbed. There you go, Offcore. Good man. Okay, let's move on to Dean and Bigman's team. So enough of mine. How I likes doing. I'm keeping an eye on. I like. Surely we can
nearly
finish
400 viewers, so we should have him up.
A couple hundred.
Yeah, so I'm fed up with Xiao Pedro. I'll be honest. Like, I know as soon as I jump off him, he'll score, but I just got to accept that. So 3 players are going in the bin. I've got 3 free transfers to use, and it'll be a goalkeeper, Bruno Fernandes, and Xiao Pedro, and I'll be bringing in Pickford, Kluivert, and Gakpo.
Nice.
I mean, I have got a bench boost to you. A bench boost is my worst shit. I hate it. Like, I'm going to be using that soon. So I've got to decide on that. But yeah, I don't really think there's too much up for grabs here. I mean, I bought in Konaté for Timber in the last game. So thought I'd get a bit more out of that. Obviously, that Ipswich goal, I was cursing. But yeah, apart from that, I'm pretty content with the team. The main issue is going to be what I decide to do with the captaincy. Do I play it safe and go Salah, or do I take that risk? And once I sign Gakpo, do I stick it on him?
Interesting, like that. I'm glad to hear you're using some transfers though. You're playing quite aggressively, which I like. Xiao Pedro, I think we're all been pretty annoyed by him of late. Like, he's getting the shots, he's getting the minutes. Brighton just aren't functioning that well. I mean, what's your take there, big man, on Xiao Pedro? I mean, you and I are probably keeping the faith, I'm guessing, but I can see why Dean's selling at the same time.
I mean, yeah, my opinion is different. I still think he's good value. For 5.5, I think if he keeps, let's say, getting 1 return in 3 games, that's fine. He's going to play every game, allows for a lot of upgrades in the rest of your squad. I personally think that if you're selling one of Xiao Pedro Wood, I would actually sell Wood over him, because of the money that is freed up, and because the fixtures I think are kind of similar, and I would actually expect Xiao Pedro to come close to matching him for cheaper. So I would probably prefer Xiao Pedro over Wood at this point, as crazy as it sounds. You look at Xiao Pedro's fixtures, he's playing Southampton at home in 26th, then Bournemouth at home, then Fulham at home, between 26 to 28. Those fixtures are pretty nice, actually. So I would personally keep Xiao Pedro.
Yeah,
I think I'd be tempted to sell if I had your team, Dean, I would be. I mean, I know you're not a huge fan of Trent, but I think I would probably look to bring Trent in. I would probably vote for an India to fund the transfer.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, it's obviously not a really right or wrong here on Wood and Xiao Pedro. I guess I just trust Wood a bit more at the moment. I think that's probably why my hunch was to go there ahead of Xiao Pedro. Yeah, there's not really much more to it. Trent, I'm obviously being stubborn about at the moment. Something that probably won't help me in this game. Stubbornness is never a great trait to have in FPL. So maybe I need to.
We've all been there, mate. We've all been there.
Yeah,
oh, when Trent hit the bar at the weekend, or was it the post or the angle? I was like, oh, I really wanted that in.
Yeah, Sean says Dean's Trent hatred. I don't even hate the bloke. I just don't pick him in this game because
you just like to play FPL a little bit differently to the template, and Trent is template. Bigman and I love him. He's been brilliant.
He just like money. Yeah, it's just like it's just. Yeah, I don't tend to go for defenders that are that value. But obviously, I can see the upside to it. And it's going to cost me as soon as Trent does get a good game week. It'll cost me, so I'm aware of that.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see Big Man's team. Still got a couple of minutes left. Big Man, show us what you got. Thank you guys for all hitting that like button, by the way. Oh, it's very rare we come on here and me and Dean have got a higher score than former world number 4 Big Man. So happy to see a 59 there.
A few points.
Yeah, I've actually made my transfers, and as mentioned earlier, my team is more or less locked. I'll be triple captaining Salah. Anyone want to guess the 2 transfers that I've made? I think they're fairly easy to guess. I would imagine.
You got 3 Liverpool.
For guessing.
Well, you got 2 Everton players. I'm going to say Pickford is 1, and I'm going to say
Pickford 4.
Oh, have you kept Flecken? Have you? Well, I guess there's a little. Flecken's quite cheap, so okay, you've kept Flecken, and you'll play Flecken 1 or 2 games. I'm guessing they rotate quite well to your wild card, and then you've definitely sold Raul Jimenez for Ndai because Ndai's on penalties.
Yeah, I've done Raul and I wish I could have sold Valdemarson for Pickford. I've sold Flecken because I had exactly 0.1 leeway.
Oh, really?
So I went with Flecken out for Pickford. And it's fine. I don't think it's a huge deal because Brentford, they could pretty much concede in every fixture anyway, whether they're playing against Ipswich or Southampton or whatever. Yeah. Their defense is very leaky, so it's fine. That wasn't a huge decision. I think actually the main decision that I have left in my team is going to be the benching dilemma between Xiao Pedro and Rodgers, because I'll have to play one of them. Which way are you leaning? I mean, currently, I've just put Pedro in my team very lazily because I haven't thought about it too much just because of pens. But yeah, which way are you leaning?
It depends if I sell sales or not, because Xiao Pedro's playing sales. But if I've got sales, then I'm rooting for the clean sheet. I don't know. It's fine margins. I was disappointed with Rodgers yesterday and disappointed with Villa in general. He's on 7 yellow cards this season, Rodgers, and he got the early sub, and they've got the Champions League distraction.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'll start Xiao Pedro. I tend to back the attacker that's on pens, given the choice.
Exactly. I'm thinking along similar lines. And you mentioned the Champions League. If he gets like 90 minutes again in the Champions League, that doesn't exactly bode well for 90 minutes again at the weekend. So might as well go with Xiao Pedro. His minutes actually have been really strong. I mean, you look at since his return from injury, he's getting 90 consistently. While with Rodgers, there's always that risk of him getting sub close to 75, 80-ish minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Brighton are playing that well. That's been part of his problem. I mean, they just haven't been the same team recently. I know they've managed to pick up a couple of results recently, but their performances haven't been that convincing. I just want to shout out Bill quickly because he's sent in a super chat. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. It says, evening, lads. 3 free transfers. Would you do Riya to Pickford, Gordon to Mbeumo, and Pedro to Vissa for free? Or would you hold Pedro, triple captain 24, 4 doublers? Thoughts? Thank you very much. Thank you, Bill. We really appreciate the $5. You two are the ones.
I don't like selling Riya. I don't like selling Riya at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're going the other way, basically, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I might end up going Pickford, but I don't think I'd use a transfer on Riya to Pickford. I like Gordon to Mbeumo. As much as Gordon's been great, Mbeumo's better. And I don't mind Pedro to Vissa either. But I just think if you look at the fixtures between now and game week, say 30, when you're probably going to wild card, Raya will outscore Pickford. But sure, this game week, Pickford might be the better option, and I might end up going there. But I don't already own Raya. I'm picking between them, and I'm tossing a coin. I certainly wouldn't use a transfer on one. It's too tight to call.
I think I like Raya to Pickford. I like Gordon Dembomo. I don't like Pedro to Wissa. I like Raya to Pickford because it frees up some cash. It gets you a good fixture in 29, and it gets you an extra fixture as well. And an extra fixture for a keeper is pretty significant. Even though Raya has the better, let's say, fixtures after this week, I'd still back Pickford to come close to matching him. And if he gets like 1 million spare, which he can use elsewhere, then I think Bill can profit. So I would probably make the first 2 transfers. I won't sell Pedro personally.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll end on that one then, shall we? Thank you, Bill. Thank you to everyone in the comments. We can't always show the comments, and we can't answer lots of questions, especially when there's 3 of us on. We have more of a free flow chat. But what we do is monitor absolutely everything that says in the chat. So we try and respond where we can. So really appreciate you guys all having those conversations in the chat. And Troy, shout out to the 3 of me guys. It's not often the 3 of us run on a Monday night, so it's been awesome. And thank you, Troy, for showing your appreciation. On your way out, guys, hit the like button. If you are just joining, go back and watch the last hour. There's no Monday night football tonight. So get your fix of assistant manager chat, of triple captain chat. We've given our takes on both those big topics. We'll be back on Wednesday at 2 p.m. UK time with Bigman for his team. We'll be back on Friday for the deadline as normal, our pre-deadline show. So to the 400 of you watching almost, thank you very, very much. And we'll see you next time.